From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. A Georgia man who had blamed the COVID-19 vaccine for making him depressed and suicidal has been identified as the shooter who opened fire late Friday on the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention headquarters, killing a police officer. The 30-year-old suspect who died during the incident had also tried to get into the CDC's headquarters in Atlanta but was stopped by guards before driving to a pharmacy across the street and opening fire. A law enforcement official told the Associated Press on Saturday. The man, identified as Patrick Joseph White, was armed with 5 guns, including at least one long gun, the official said, speaking on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to publicly discuss the investigation. A union representing workers at the CDC said the incident was not random and compounds months of mistreatment, neglect, and vilification that CDC staff have endured. It demanded federal officials condemn vaccine misinformation, saying it was putting scientists at risk. Given the shooting at CDC headquarters, a CDC union has called for condemnation of vaccine misinformation and tighter security. The American Federation of Government Employees, Local 2883, said the CDC and leadership of the Department of Health and Human Services must provide a clear and unequivocal stance in condemning vaccine disinformation. Such a public statement by federal officials is needed to prevent violence against scientists, the union said in a news release. Their leadership is critical in reinforcing public trust and ensuring that accurate science-based information prevails, the union said. Fired but Fighting, a group of laid-off CDC employees, has said Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is directly responsible for the villainization of CDC's workforce through his continuous lies about science and vaccine safety, which have fueled a climate of hostility and mistrust. Kennedy reached out to staff on Saturday, saying no one should face violence while working to protect the health of others. Thousands of people who work on critical disease research are employed on the campus. The union said some staff were huddled in various buildings until late at night, including more than 90 young children who were locked down inside the CDC's Clifton School. In other news, flash flooding canceled the final day of the Wisconsin State Fair on Sunday, as continued heavy rainfall in half a dozen Midwest states forced motorists to abandon their vehicles, cut power to thousands of households, and close busy roadways. Organizers of the Wisconsin State Fair said they were scrapping the final day of the 11-day event after rains flooded the fairgrounds in West Allis, which is just outside of Milwaukee. We are saddened we cannot deliver this final day of the Wisconsin State Fair, but know that this is the best decision with current conditions and the forecast ahead, organizers said in a statement. The National Weather Service issued flood watches and warnings for parts of Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri, Illinois, and Wisconsin. After rainfall began on Saturday in some areas, forecasters predicted repeated rounds of heavy rain along with hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes into Monday. Among the worst hit was the Milwaukee area, which received up to 14 inches of rain that had fallen in some areas as of Sunday, according to the National Weather Service, which also noted river flooding in Milwaukee and Waukesha counties. Some motorists left their stranded cars on roads. Nearly 18,000 customers of We Energies in southeast Wisconsin were without power late Sunday. In the suburban village of Wauwatosa, an overflowing and fast-moving Menominee River submerged a popular playground. And finally, the man who oversees the nation's military reposted a video about a Christian nationalist church that included various pastors saying women should no longer be allowed to vote. The extraordinary repost on X from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, made Thursday night, illustrates his deep and personal connection to a Christian nationalist pastor with extreme views on the role of religion and women. In the post, Hegseth commented on an almost 7-minute long report by CNN examining Doug Wilson, co-founder of the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches, or CREC. The report featured a pastor from Wilson's church advocating the repeal of women's right to vote from the Constitution, And another pastor saying that in his ideal world, people would vote as households. It also featured a female congregant saying that she submits to her husband. Hegseth's post received more than 12,000 likes and 2,000 shares on X. Some users agreed with the pastors in the video, while others expressed alarm at the defense secretary promoting Christian nationalist ideas. That's the news at this hour. Pennsylvania Equality Project and PEP Radio are participating in Crawford Gives Days from tomorrow through Friday. This is our only major fundraising event for the year. For more details, visit the PEP Radio page at paequality.com. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.